For the battered but proud people of the Empire State, from the financial and entertainment epicenter of New York City to the sleeping and empty small cities and towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
Hey guys, welcome to Radio Free New York. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host of the day, and I believe I'm joined by Bob Savage.
I believe.
Oh, good. You know, I have to take it on faith because I can't see you, I can't look at you, but I believed and it was true. Yes.
See there? That's what happens when you have faith, ladies and gentlemen. You have Savage right in your lap.
Hooray?
Yeah. Right? What? I don't know if I want faith now.
No, you're not really selling me on it, Bob.
Yeah, that's all right. That's okay. Just fun and nonsense, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. That's what we bring to the show occasionally. But Bob, I haven't talked to you in forever. I think it's been quite a while since you and I have been on the show together. I don't know. It's been a couple of weeks at least.
It's been too long. Too
long. Bob, I've missed you.
I run in the studio every day at noon and slap on the headphones just on the off chance that I'll be called into action, but it was not to be. At least not till today. So this is a red letter day.
That's right, and it's a good day. And man, there's so much for us to talk about. We have a few different things going on, from people starting to figure out that maybe Governor Cuomo's response to the whole COVID-19 thing wasn't the best, to there's police departments in New York who are starting to get upset with enforcing the social distancing rules, and many, many more things. And actually, I kind of want to lead with that because you brought to my attention this article from PJ Media about Governor Cuomo. And do you want to let me know what you found in that article?
Well,
I just read it.
It's kind of a critique on Cuomo's performance because as regards COVID, I mean, there's a lot of raw material we could go to there, but this is COVID specific. And it's kind of a response to the fact that the mainstream media is now they're all licking their chops about the prospect of Andrew being presidential timber, because they probably accurately recognize that Joe Biden is dead candidate walking.
They want to get him out.
Whether or not he's going to make it through the convention is definitely an open question. But I can dig into this a little bit. You can jump in and you can react. We can talk. But good piece on PJ Media. The press has been gushing about the performance of New York Governor Andrew Cuomo for weeks. The media often compares Cuomo's decisive response to coronavirus to the president, and guess who always wins? Whether it's good PR from the governor's office or just the media worshiping a liberal who says mean things about Donald Trump, it hardly matters. What matters is results. And in that department, Andrew Cuomo's been a miserable failure using several metrics. For example, back in March, you remember Andy was saying he needed 30 to 40,000 ventilators. Got to have them. And when Trump pointed out that was silly, he accused the president of being an unfeeling monster. So what happened? Well, I can't remember the exact number. Maybe you do, Kevin, the number of ventilators that Donald Trump sent to New York. But what we know is that by the middle of April, New York was sending ventilators to other states.
Yeah. I mean, just a couple weeks after saying, we have a crisis and we need the national government to step in and nationalize ventilator production and all this stuff, we're sending stuff back, which is great news.
Right.
But also, makes Governor Cuomo look a little bit silly, like he's doing this for political points rather than taking an honest evaluation of the situation at hand.
Right, and PJ again said they characterized Andrew's plea as panicky, sometimes hysterical, whining about the federal government, specifically the president. Of course, it's Trump's fault for not doing anything to help the states with getting medical supplies. But Trump has been extremely generous, if anything, in sending whatever Andrew Cuomo wanted. I mean, first of all, there was federal FEMA funds, I think it was, that were used to build the the Javits Center Hospital with 2,000 beds that I think at its peak had maybe 100 patients. And then you had the hospital ship that set sail. That was a 1,200 bed hospital ship, set sail after treating 179 patients.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not
Eh,
saying that it's good that I mean, it's great that that all those beds weren't needed. I don't want anybody to think you know ill of my analysis of that, but still, I mean, it was just a little disingenuous for the governor to point at Trump and say that he's an unfeeling monster.
No, and I think there's plenty to critique from the federal government's response to the COVID-19 thing. But yeah, Governor Cuomo has had his share of mistakes, and it's frustrating to see how the national media is swooning over him. And we talk about that. There's people who are just obsessed with Governor Cuomo right now, and it's paying off in some ways. And I know that you and Andrew did a show on the Siena poll that happened last week, or that came out last week in Governor Cuomo's approval rating, and I think there's plenty to pick apart there. But they're trying to position Governor Cuomo as this great leader in a time of crisis. But as I always say, just because you're doing something and saying stuff and out in front of the public all the time doesn't mean you're doing something useful and that you're leading the nation in or your state in a good direction. And I think there's plenty to pick apart about Governor Cuomo's response, from his overreaction, from his political posturing to, and in this the article gets into it later in it, the nursing home thing.
Oh,
Did
that's horrible.
It's awful.
I don't know if you caught today. They found, I don't know, hundreds of more patients dead in nursing homes in New York City. But yeah, I mean, just the numbers, crunching the numbers here. New York, as of today, has 1,915 deaths. That's about 30% of the national total. Well, a little less. 69,680 nationally. And we have a high population density in New York State, but so does California, where they have twice as many people and 2,254 deaths versus 1,915.
Yeah, no, it's awful. And I don't know how we can look at this situation in the way that Governor Cuomo initially reacted to this crisis, Bill De Blasio initially reacted to this crisis, and then how they approach the nursing home issue. Bodies are piling up, and just because Governor Cuomo's gotten to this crisis stance, and people are afraid and they want someone who appears strong in there, they're elevating him in this way. But we can't look away from the fact that New York is one of the worst hit, and part of the reason why it's one of the worst hit places because our political leaders were incompetent.
Right. I mean, first of all, let's turn back the hands of time here. March 20th, Cuomo didn't lock down the state until that date, March 20th, when there were 3,000 cases of COVID-19. And Bill de Blasio, of course, had the authority to close schools after most major cities had already shuttered schools. Finally, he got around to it. And meanwhile, New Yorkers were getting sick, and many eventually died. So this is competence. This is decisiveness. These are the questions asked by the PJ Media article, and it's a good one.
Yeah, and again, this is a crisis that is mostly centered around New York City, and I want to talk about like what Governor Cuomo is doing to take a more regional approach finally to this crisis. But there's some issues I have with that too. But we're looking at like what the governor said in terms of nursing homes. Former Governor George Pataki is calling for an investigation of Andrew Cuomo because of nursing home policies, where they made nursing homes take patients who are sick with COVID-19.
Yeah, COVID positive. And it was completely unnecessary because in the meantime, you had all these hospital beds that were vacant, not just in the Javits Center and on I can't remember which ship it was in New York, whether it was the Hope
Comfort?
or the Comfort.
Yeah.
You had all these beds just, like basically, and medical personnel begging for patients, looking for something to do. And we're ordering these patients back into nursing homes, which are ill-equipped to deal with this pandemic?
Yeah, for the most vulnerable population. This is the population that may actually need some extra protection from this thing. And we're putting sick people in the same buildings as the most vulnerable people. Well, meanwhile, or as you pointed out, hospitals had tons of extra capacity, so much extra capacity, in fact, because they weren't able to do elective surgeries, that they are cutting staff. they're cutting staff in hospitals when there's plenty of hospital beds, particularly in upstate hospitals. There's the ability to do this. Instead, we're sending people back to these nursing homes and causing more sickness, causing more death. It's an awful thing, and I don't know how. Well, I know how. Partisanship's a heck of a thing, but I don't know how people can look at Governor Cuomo and not see rank irresponsibility here. And we'll talk more about that and what Governor Cuomo is doing next, right here on Radio Free New York after the break.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
College Assistance Plus has worked with thousands of families, saving them millions of dollars. It can be stressful choosing the right college, but we're here to help. CA Plus will guide you from college visits to college graduation and through every step in between. Each student and family situation is different, and we work to accommodate those specific needs. Call today for a free family meeting, 585-582-1846, or visit collegeassistanceplus.com for more information. College is expensive. College Assistance Plus can help.
A reminder from Abate Monroe County. American bikers aim toward education. Distracted driving is dangerous, so pull over and eat. Don't try to read your mail and newspaper, and stay off your cell phone. Make a mental note to be more alert, making it a habit to expect the unexpected. Remember to look twice. Save a life. Train yourself to watch for motorcycles which are harder to see. Join Abate, and your family will be protected with a free $4,000 accident policy. Ride safe. Ride free. Ride often. Abate. If you ride with us. Google Abate Monroe County.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. Thanks again for joining us today. We are live noon to 1 on WYSL, and if you want to participate in the discussion, we're always happy to talk to you. Give us a call, 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. Give us a call, and thanks everyone who's listening online as well, on our Facebook pages, on Twitter, on YouTube, all those, and of course a rebroadcast on WENY The Patriot and WACK out in Newark. I'm joined by Bob Savage today. We're discussing Governor Cuomo's response to COVID-19. In retrospect, not looking so great.
I just want to toss a miscellaneous item out here too. He's been bragging in recent days about this little deal he's made with neighboring states. You know, where we've got this kind of confederation of northeastern blue states, of course, all deep blue, New Jersey, Connecticut, Maryland, Pennsylvania, so forth, for the purpose of, I don't know, buying ventilators and masks. It looks to me as the COVID, illness and death toll drops, there's going to be less need for that kind of thing as opposed to more. I mean, I'm always in favor of the state saving money on stuff, but there's a little technical problem, Andrew, that, I'm sure you're probably aware of. about the states all getting together. And by the way, this is also happening on the left coast with California, Washington, Oregon. And that is a little thing called the U.S. Constitution. Then,
You think there's a barrier to that?
oh yeah, it's a thing, and the Constitution takes a dim view of the states getting together and kind of like forming political or economic alliances. Because last time that happened was, I believe it was 1861 to 65, and that.
That sounds like some obscure event, Bob. I can't see how that's a problem.
There's a little bit of a problem about that period when some states just decided that they wanted to do things on their own. So we turn in our pocket Constitution, which, by the way, you can get for free with a stamped self-addressed envelope to the station. Section 1, Article 1, Section 10, no state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation. So I just... Thanks, Andy.
Yeah,
I know the
right there in the
Constitution. Constitution is, I know, an alien thing to you, but there it is.
Yeah, I mean, he'd have to read it first to know he's violating it.
Yeah.
Therein's the problem.
Or care about it.
Yeah, even if he read it, who cares?
Right.
That's actually, that's something I haven't thought a lot about. Is how, is this a legal arrangement for states to be able to cooperate in this way to be able to get supplies?
Well, it's illegal as long as you don't mind it being unconstitutional. I mean, it's legal as long as you don't. I mean, or is it illegal if it's unconstitutional? Probably is.
Didn't you go to law school?
I did. Yeah.
You should know this more than me.
It's kind of dawning on me that this is not. The states are not supposed to do this.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Yeah, again, I haven't thought about that much, but that's not really how that's supposed to work. And I mean, you could always take the other solution is either the states go out on their own, or we let private industry do that, which is my preference, or we have the federal government do it. But
free market, wow, what a
free
concept!
Market, I know. What a concept that maybe the individual hospital systems know what they need to get and want to go out and get it. And it would be better and incentivize producers to create more products if we had some of these competing interests in there.
Oh, okay, that's crazy talk, Kevin. Come on. Top down's the way to go, man.
Yeah, that's the only way we can do that. All the Democrats want to give the power to the Trump administration to manage the crisis, which they also don't trust and think they've screwed up the crisis. So, figure out that logic.
No, I don't think I have the horsepower to do that.
Yeah, no one does. If you think too hard, it's going to give you a headache. Not just you, just all of us. I want to read off some comments because we're getting some comments online too. Robert says, Cuomo can do whatever he wants. He's just hedging his bets. If he locks down for as long as possible, he's a lifesaver, and the economic destruction is Trump's problem. He can continue to destroy industry and look like a golden boy. That's that's an interesting point. I don't know if there's going to be any, certainly we've talked about that a lot on Radio Free New York about how Governor Cuomo is responsible for a lot of the economic destruction that we're seeing, and that it is worth exploring opening up more parts of the economy to let businesses operate safely and let consumers be able to get the stuff that they need, let people get, haircuts because barbers are able to wear protective equipment and be able to offer haircuts, all that type of stuff, which Governor Cuomo is starting to lean towards now. But it'll be interesting to see in a couple years when the election happens if he's going to get any blowback for all of this response, not just the direct virus response, but the economic consequences of his ham-fisted policy that doesn't treat regions as unique areas who can address the virus differently than New York City. Other comments, though. Corey says, love the hat. And Robin Wilson says should be investigated. I think she was responding to the nursing home thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then Garrett says, instead of county by county, I believe the reopen plan is economic development regions, which, screws counties like Chautauqua and Cattaraugus, grouping them in with Erie. Western New York is kind of all together in one big lump. And yeah, that's kind of a problem. If you're in a county like Chautauqua or Cattaraugus County, then your situation is much different than Erie County. Buffalo's being hit pretty hard, but the rest of New York isn't quite the same. And here, where I live in Monroe County, it's a bit different than where Bob is down in Livingston County.
Right. Rochester's lumped in. You're talking about these economic development regions. Rochester, the city, is lumped in with the Finger Lakes. What? That makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, and again, there's multiple hospital systems within the Finger Lakes too. Like the Rochester area hospitals aren't necessarily the same hospital systems that are going on in other parts of the Finger Lakes, where you have like Geneva, which is its own thing. You have Canandaigua, which is kind of its own thing. You have going out to, I'm trying to remember how far out it goes. Does it go out to like Auburn? Does it go out to like Cayuga County too?
Yeah, the Finger Lakes are in there. So you've got now Syracuse, of course, is part of central New York, which paradoxically extends up into the Adirondacks. So that doesn't make sense either. But I mean, in the Finger Lakes, you've got hospitals in Penn Yan, I don't know if there's one I don't think there is one in Auburn. Maybe there is. I don't know. I'll have to check that out. But
there's a hospital in Auburn. I think that one might actually be in central New York, though, which is its own thing, right?
So these are arbitrary regions, and really what needs to happen is economic decision-making needs to be made on the most local level possible. Regional doesn't make any more sense than doing it from the state. But then again, I repeat myself, because really the decisions that are made in these economic regions are dictated by Albany.
Yeah, pretty much. They just lump them together into these arbitrary regions, and don't take into account how people move and interact with one another. It just, again, it's a top-down solution that seems like it's a bit more reasonable, but when you start to dig into it, you start to realize that, well, maybe this doesn't make sense. Again, why are we treating some of these rural counties down in the southwestern portion of New York the same as Erie County? Because what the governor has decided to do is that he's decided to set opening criteria that's based on the actual infection levels, which I don't think is a terrible thing. I think that's a good way to go, to think about how can we reduce risk if there's an area that has a ton of infection. Again, you look at Manhattan, Brooklyn, places like that, the New York City area, they really are hit very hard. But it's not quite the same in some of these areas of upstate New York. Binghamton's not the same thing as the Bronx. We need to take a more granular approach to this. You can cooperate across regions. You can encourage good behavior if you're worried about people getting sick, and clearly some people are getting sick. They are dying. I'm not dismissing that, but what I am saying is that we need to take a smarter approach that decentralizes the knowledge and takes into account what the actual situation on the ground is. And instead, we have these really high benchmarks in order for people to start getting back to work safely.
Yeah, those are unattainable benchmarks, too. When you're talking about whatever the numbers are for testing, for example, that's just not going to happen. People are not going to line up in the Walmart parking lot on Hudson Avenue to get their finger pricked every 2 weeks by somebody they have no idea who they are. They're in a moon suit out there, and you're going to stick your hand out the window and have somebody stick your finger and get blood samples every 2 weeks, and then you're going to have this is Andrew Cuomo's own description, by the way, his army of tracers, trackers to contact everybody that you've had contact with in case you test positive. Not going to happen.
Yeah, and it's unnecessary for a lot of people. Like for me, it's like, why would I go and get an antibody test? I haven't shown any symptoms. I haven't been out much. Like, it's not really worth it to do that. But what they set is all these benchmarks. They have 7 different criteria. You've already kind of talked about the testing one. And what it says is that there needs to be 30 tests for every 1,000 residents per month.
Right.
And that's a lot.
That's not going to happen. And the upshot of the whole thing is to surrender your privacy. That's going to occur to people as well. I mean, you might get some people to do it once, but remember, you're back in 2 weeks now because you could be reinfected. And what this is, it's the equivalent of the shtick in the Monty Python, the Holy Grail. You must first cut down the greatest tree in the forest with a herring.
The knight's knee.
Yeah, the knight's knee. I mean, that's Andrew Cuomo is kind of an unfunny version of John Cleese.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we'll dig into some of those criteria when we get back from the break. But thanks again for everyone for listening to Radio Free New York today. We are going to be back in just a minute talking more about Governor Cuomo's reopen plan. Talk to you soon.
Radio Free New York. Proud to have you with us there on the Patriot down in Elmira, 1230 and 1450 AM, 106.9, and over there in the northern Finger Lakes. Visit the eastern Syracuse, central New York region, Rochester, whatever, WACK 1420 and 96.9 FM.
Now, more than twice the power.
WYSL.
More powerful FM 92.1, FM 95.5 West, and 1040 AM WYSL Avon Rochester.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. It'll be partly cloudy, still chilly, but not as frosty cold. We'll see mid and upper 30s out there on Wednesday. A mostly cloudy day. Might be a little shower well south of Rochester. Temps near 50. On Thursday, some late day showers after a mainly dry day in the upper 50s. Cooler with some rain or snow showers in the 40s Friday. I'm Rich Cadelia, WYSL.
At Victor Chevrolet, we want you to know we are here for your transportation needs. Our factory-trained specialist in the Victor Service Department can expertly handle any repair. Our concierge service can arrange for pickup and delivery of your vehicle if you choose. We are here for repairs, maintenance, inspections, warranty work, and recalls. Victor Chevrolet can help no matter where you bought your car or truck. And if you need a new vehicle, Victor can sell you a car virtually on our website, victorchevrolet.com, or by appointment at our store. Call 869-6196. Trade-ins, financing, leasing. They're all available remotely and at your convenience. We're here to fully serve Chevy customers in Victor, Canandaigua, Macedon, Fairport, and throughout the Metro and Finger Lakes. Depend on Victor Chevrolet, here for you with sales or any service issue, no matter where you bought your vehicle. Give us a call at 869-6196 or visit victorchevrolet.com. You can depend on the team at Victor Chevy for all your transportation needs. Now and your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Are you 65 or older? New to Medicare? At Polano & Company, we take the stress out of Medicare. We guide you through the enrollment process and help you navigate the A, B, C's, and D's of Medicare. Our goal is to make it easy and simple, knowing you have a plan that will cover your medical needs. Call 385-6010 or stop by Polano & Company at 15 Schoen Place in Pittsford today. PolanoCO.com.
Tired of the big box stores who don't service what they sell? At C&B Mower in Lima, talk to the owners who sell and service their products. C&B Mower has a full line of commercial and residential products, from pressure washers to generators, rototillers to chainsaws and string trimmers. Have your equipment tuned up for peak performance. Call C&B Mower at 624-5955. That's 624-5955. C&B Mower, routes 5 and 20 just east of the village of Lima. Small engine repair is their specialty.
As the word tells us that all things are to be done decently and in order, we all have a desire to be more organized. Get Organized has been helping their clients effectively organize their living spaces with custom closets, pantries, garage storage systems, and more for over 30 years. Get Organized can be reached online at www.closetsrochester.com or by phone at 585-223-3646. Get Organized with closetsrochester.com today.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, joined by Bob Savage, and we are talking about Dear Leader Cuomo. who is, of course, leading our state.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
Did you
leading,
catch his quote the other day where he was this is the masks thing? He's saying that how he was going on and on about how irresponsible it is for people to go around and not wear masks, and how he wants local police to enforce, write people tickets and arrest folks for not wearing. He said you could literally kill someone, for not wearing a mask.
Maybe I would take that more seriously if he ever wore a mask to any of his press conferences,
Right.
but I don't think I've seen that yet. Andrew Cuomo, you could literally kill someone.
That's right. It's like a laughable statement.
Yeah, my goodness. Like, again, when I go in public, I wear a mask. Like, I get how it can help with the stopping the spread of transmission, but like, it's the rules don't apply to them, and that's what's frustrating to me. It's like, man, if you want people to take this seriously, if you're going to use state violence against people to enforce a mask rule, my goodness, you should be wearing a mask whenever you're out in public. And he is almost never wearing a mask. I think the only time I've seen Governor Cuomo wear a mask is when he did the spray in the subway thing. He did that photo op for that. I think that's the only time I've seen him in a mask.
Well, he's sitting on the dais right now. The TV extravaganza, the Daily Cuomo Show, is on, and there's all. Oops, he's getting up and leaving already. Look at that. Wow, this is a short one today. But they're all socially distant on that set. They're like 6 feet apart.
Yeah, that's fine. I just think that he shouldn't be arresting people who are trying to do the same thing in a park.
Well, you had a piece there about New York City police who are not delighted about this, right?
Yeah, no, I did. So actually, the New York City Police Benevolence Association released a statement today on social distancing. So this is New York City Police, because a video came out earlier this week. I think it was just a couple of days ago, maybe over the weekend, where it was police officers who were trying to enforce the social distancing rules. Some people gave some attitude about it. They're just kind of trying to mind their own business, and they're getting harassed. And some people end up getting tased. There's a guy who ended up with a knee on his head. It's just not a good look for them, for the police. And obviously, if you're on the other end of that, that's not great either. I don't want to see police having to do that, and I don't want people to be on the other end of that. But anywho, let me read the statement. It says, "This situation is untenable. The NYPD needs to get cops out of the social distancing enforcing business altogether. And then the cowards who run this city have given us nothing but vague guidelines and mixed messages, leaving the cops on the street corners to fend for ourselves. Nobody has the right to interfere with the police action, but now that the inevitable backlash has arrived, they are once again throwing us under the bus." So they're throwing police officers under the bus for a vague policy coming from both the state and city governments down there, which we knew was going to happen. We've been talking about this happening on the show for a while now. We knew as soon as you put these laws into place that you get enforcement for social distancing and you get enforcement for the mask laws, as soon as you start seeing that happen, this is the inevitable consequence, is that you're going to get police officers who are put in a position where they either don't enforce the law, they don't enforce it equally, or they enforce the law and it looks really bad for them.
Yeah, sooner or later, socialism always comes down to the point of a gun. That's the terminus of totalitarian authority, because people resist, and pretty soon you get the options dwindle away until somebody is sticking a muzzle in your face. We have Jim from Rochester on the line here on Radio Free New York. Hey, Jim.
Well, I was laughing at my governor, as I do every day, and he was mentioning about threatening his health if you don't wear a mask. But yet, here's a man who releases criminals so they don't catch the COVID and they're quarantined in the first place. You have unvetted illegals that could be quite dangerous. You're encouraging them to pour into your state. You're encouraging illegals from the third world to pour into New York City, which may have something to do with this orchestrated COVID outbreak in New York. And you're looking to take the Second Amendment away from me protecting myself, but I could be harming the governor. Is this guy such a butthead, or what is the deal with this globalist agent? Because all Cuomo is a Gestapo mafia New World Order chief in the Albany Bureau, is all this guy is.
Hey, Jim, if you keep this up, you're going to give Kevin and me the impression that you're not a fan of Cuomo.
No, he is absolutely a New World Order globalist Gestapo agent, is what this guy is, as many of your Democrat leaders are.
Well, all right.
Yeah,
Kevin, reaction?
We're definitely not fans of Andrew Cuomo here. That's for sure. And again, you made a couple good points there, Jim, and I appreciate it. And we are seeing our Second Amendment rights taken away in New York State, and at the same time, we're seeing the state crack down on a bunch of stuff. To me, like, I'd rather have like the ability to have free movement among people and to just have people take responsibility for their own personal safety, the safety of their health and of their family and themselves. And that's what we should really be doing, is just focusing on that. How do we empower people with good information to be able to take care of themselves and their families? And part of that means is, protecting yourself medically. And part of that means protecting yourself economically, being able to get back to work. And part of that means being able to defend yourself, too. That if there is, crime on the street, you're worried about people who are in desperate situations, you should have the right to defend yourself at all times. And that means having the right to bear arms.
All right.
There's one last point I'd like to bring up, if I could, is that I would like to ask business owners out there, because I used to run a contracting company, with all this shutdown and folks that can't work, are businesses still being asked to pay their New York State compensation to Albany on employees that they aren't paying right now? Has Cuomo furloughed the insurances of the New York State Insurance Compensation Fund, or is that breaking business too?
Yeah,
good question.
That's a good
yeah.
question.
If
I
anybody
don't know the
knows,
answer to that.
yeah, give us a call, 346-3000. Jim, thanks for the call. Good call. Appreciate that. 346-3000, or if you're listening outside of the immediate calling area, 866-552-1009, Kevin.
Yeah, no, thank you. I always forget to mention that other number, so thank you. But we're in a situation where the governor's actions are inconsistent. They don't make sense. They make people worried, and we see how there's all these different competing forces within the Democratic Party to want to both overreact and underreact, to treat people differently. And I get how people are concerned about there are significant outbreaks going on in the jails right now. But also like releasing people arbitrarily kind of feels odd and strange and possibly endangering the safety of our communities as well. I generally favor that too. I generally think like, okay, like, well, if we're going to release people, my question for that is, why wouldn't we do that before? If they were safe enough to go out on the street now, then why were we keeping them in jail in the first place? If they weren't dangerous, then what are we doing? Why are they here? Instead, we have people who are in environments where they may become infected, and now they're out in the community, and you get more community spread. The logic of what Governor Cuomo is doing here is hard to follow, and when people get confused and upset, that's when we get more serious situations, and I think that's what stemming from that's what leads to people wanting to do those Open Up New York protests, because again, we see an inconsistent, failed response from Governor Cuomo, and what else can you expect from that by people, but other than people starting to get upset? And I think we're going to start to see more of that as the weeks go on, especially as people are starting to say, man, is this even making any more sense? Is this really keeping us safer? Or is this just a politician looking like they want to do something to take charge?
Oh, no question about it. I mean, all you have to do is go, let's rewind back to March and the beginning point of this alleged hyped crisis. We had the CDC out there. First of all, inconsistency. Thy name is COVID. All right.
Yeah.
For the first thing they say is, don't wear masks. No, masks don't help. And then an immediate about face within 48 hours. Oh, everybody's got to wear a mask now. Well, which is it? I mean, what data set were you referring to before? It's the old, were you lying then or are you lying now?
Exactly. And, and that's, we had done a whole episode on this, on the concept of the noble lie, right? Like, it seems like what they were trying to do is to not get people to make a run on on medical masks, so then they would be available to hospitals. So they told people you don't really need a mask. But then that backfires now when they're saying, oh, no, actually, you should have masks. So, again, are you lying before or are you lying now? And you've created distrust, and it's hard to win back.
Yep, that's right. People very deservedly question, and then we haven't even gotten into the cooking of the COVID numbers.
Yeah, but we'll talk more about that and some of the other state responses here in a few minutes on Radio Free New York.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Aircraft Environmental Systems proudly supports Radio Free New York. Rochester-based leaders in climate simulation chambers for America's R&D laboratories. We're experts in troubleshooting, calibrations, custom designs, and consulting for more than 40 years. Industry pioneers, we created the first ever fleet of temperature, humidity, and altitude test chambers available to rent coast to coast. Trained and trusted by environmental chamber manufacturers, we are ACES. Find us at acesinc.com.
The Rochester area franchise dealers are here to help their customers through these trying times. Service departments and collision centers are open. Vehicle sales are initially done remotely by telephone or electronic means until you're ready to visit the dealership and take delivery of your vehicle. Proper social distancing and cleaning protocols are followed at all dealerships. Please contact your preferred dealer to schedule sales or service appointments for a safe check-in, drop-off, or pickup process. Be safe and know the franchise dealers are here for you, Rochester.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, joined by the amazing Bob Savage.
Ahoy, matey.
Yeah, and of course, thanks everyone for listening today online. I do have a few comments I want to get to. Jim on Twitter is saying that I didn't think Cuomo or Trump did that bad of a job. All right, Jim, you're entitled to your opinion. All right, no, I appreciate it. No, it's always interesting to hear from people who think that Cuomo and Trump did a great job responding to all of this. And if you feel that way, again, give our station a call or leave a comment online. We're happy to read that off. I'm skeptical, but I appreciate your comment. So we were talking about we're talking about some of the ways that government agencies have fostered mistrust before the break, and something I think I've said this before, but it bears repeating, is that we should be skeptical of government all the time. Like, don't necessarily trust what they're going to say. Go look for independent corroboration for whatever that the government is saying, particularly when what they're saying is in service of centralizing power in them, centralizing power in politicians. And we see that a lot, particularly with Governor Cuomo, where most of the stuff he says is like, well, okay, trust me, and here's what you need to do. It doesn't necessarily mean they're wrong. Just, you got to make sure it's backed up by something. Again, I'm not one of those guys like, all right, if the government says it's a lie. Well, sometimes they're telling the truth on purpose or not. But other times, like, when the government is saying, when Governor Cuomo enacted the law and the legislature enacted the law to give him power to be able to suspend laws and to create new laws, like that's a very dangerous thing. And we're in a situation where the governor has created or suspended hundreds of laws at this point, all in service of centralizing power to himself, under the guise of responding to the coronavirus. And I'm not saying that it's not a serious crisis, but what I am saying is that, holy cow, we have a dictator in New York State, and that is something to be alarmed by.
Yeah, there's a continuum of severity, and I understand that reasonable minds can differ on the severity of COVID. But you look at the numbers, and the numbers do not support the arguments which have historically been made, and that trend is increasing with the passage of time. First of all, we were told we had the death projections, and we know that those were wildly inaccurate. And now they're doubling down on that again. Now they're saying, well, you're going to see this massive spike in these cases once again this summer. Well, if that were to happen, that would be the first time ever in the history of tracking viral infections, because that's just not the way viruses act. They mutate and then they kind of like taper off. And yes, it's true that these various different strains never go away. I mean, like most of us have had the 1918 influenza, pandemic of 100 years ago. We've had that. Most of us have come down with a flu, and that's what that is. And a lot of people have had swine flu, and a lot of people have had avian flu. They don't completely disappear, but they become less and less of a health concern. The same will almost certainly be true, and the scientific evidence thus far bears this out when it comes to COVID-19.
Yeah, it'll probably eventually become endemic, right? It'll just be something that's part of the population, and we don't know how things are going to affect it. Like, is the warm weather going to make everything go away? What's happening in Texas and Georgia right now as places are starting to open up? We got to watch that really closely. And in terms of deaths, like I think in some areas it seems like people are overcounting. In other areas, they might be undercounting. Like we're seeing some areas where like the actual number of deaths are much higher than usual. And we see that in New York City.
And that's largely because of the nursing homes.
Yeah, and it's because people really are dying of this virus, and in part because of botched state and local policy. But then we have other areas of the state. In Monroe County, there are many fewer people dying than normal, which is its own set of interesting circumstances, right? But I don't think like they're just not counting dead people. That's one metric that you can actually count on. You can know how many people actually died. You can look at that and say, okay, is it higher or lower than normal? And in areas where it's higher, then maybe that's a consequence of a virus ripping through an area. And in areas where it's lower, well, that's another interesting result too. Did we save lives or what?
But there also has to be. I think there has to be an inquiry made into the guidelines which are issued, and these flow all the time from the CDC, right, the Center for Disease Control, and guidelines for coding deaths, whether that should be COVID or not, are unprecedented because there's a strong, a prevalent prejudice in favor of diagnosing people with COVID as a cause of death, which a lot of it is really based on extremely subjective criteria and conjecture.
Yeah, and so there's some financial incentives too. So there is something to this. I'm skeptical of the argument that the number of COVID deaths are being wildly overcounted, but there is something to the fact that hospitals who are treating someone who is suspected of being infected with coronavirus do get more funding in response to that patient being sick with that particular illness. So there's a lot of incentive to do that. And not all of the people who die are tested for coronavirus. Many are listed as suspected of being infected with coronavirus.
Yeah, presumed.
Yeah, presumed. Yeah, thank you. And so in that sort of situation, what we want, and I know why they're not doing this. They're not testing the people who died of that because they think after they've died, it's less important to understand whether or not they had coronavirus. But at the same time, we are now getting skepticism of the number of people who are dying because we have all of these people who have died who are presumed to be infected with coronavirus, but we don't know that for sure. We have no idea if they are or were actually sick with coronavirus. So now, again, we create mistrust because we have unreliable data, and the government is going out very confidently saying, like, this is what it is. It's not the scientists who are out doing this. The scientists are waffle and stuff. They make terrible politicians. But the government and the politicians going out and saying, like, look, this is what the crisis is, and they are exaggerating the situation, sometimes to make people respond more effectively, but other times to consolidate their own power. And again, that's using fear is a very dangerous weapon, because if it turns out that you are exaggerating the situation or outright lying about the situation, you've eroded trust. And when you do really need to get people to respond in a certain way for their own safety, you've now eroded that trust to the point where you're ineffective in getting people to respond effectively.
And this
with
is
things like wearing a mask.
Yeah, wearing a mask. And by the way, this is the same line of reasoning that applies to the same approach. Like, for example, with plastic bags, that issue that came out earlier this year. Right. The political left always wants us to sit back and just, take the word of the technocrats who, because these are the experts, the state-anointed experts who know what's best for all of us. So we'll have a better life if we just allow that decision to pass from the realm of common sense and common experience, and also, by the way, from science, which is ironic because the left is always constantly harping on how everything has to be based in science, and then they turn around and they do stuff like presume COVID diagnoses when people have been completely untested. But this is the model. This is the governance model of the political left, and one that we should be extremely suspicious of.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a long history of doing that. In totalitarian regimes everywhere, it's just that there ends up being a crisis of expertise because the experts have aligned with the state to say things that don't make sense. And there's a fascinating and horrifying history of why the famines happened in the USSR, because scientists would promote their expertise in a way that would encourage really bad crop planting. They had this bizarre nature of collectivism of crops that ended up not working at all, but they were more in line with the ideology, so that's what they promoted, and it's just absolutely insane. Maybe we'll have to do a whole episode on that, because it's bonkers, because there's a crisis of expertise in our country where a lot of people are skeptical of the experts, and the reason why is because they've often aligned with the state to consolidate power and kind of forsaken maybe what the best interest of science is in some cases. Not everywhere, just in some situations, and that's why we have a crisis of expertise.
Well, yeah, and the most glaring recent example of that is you have the totalitarian regime in China and the way that they dealt with the Wuhan virus. I mean, these were the smart people. We were assured that they know what they're doing.
Yeah, no, I don't know how anyone can trust a single thing that comes out of the Chinese Communist Party at this point. Why are American news stations reporting what they say as if it were based in fact at all?
Because they contradict President Trump, probably.
Yeah, there's a political motive, right? That's what it is. If it's against Trump, then it's good. But, oh man, we ran out of time. We had so many great topics today. This is awesome. Bob, we got to do this more often.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks again for joining us here on Radio Free New York. Andrew will be back tomorrow for White House Wednesday.
I'm Steve Tasker, and over the years, my wife and I have really gotten to know Heritage Christian Services and the work the agency does to partner with people who have developmental disabilities. We've seen firsthand how